Welcome to the Itch Podcast number 104. I'm Spencer.
I'm Rosie.
You sound confused. 104?
Is that the one?
I think.
Think? Rosie said it, so I'm not sure if it's correct. But who's this guy?
JD.
JD.
It's a kid!
JD.
Hey.
Wait, is that all you got now for time?
It's the boy!
There we go.
That's JD!
And we wanted to talk about value today. Value in video games.
Value in our friendships.
Yeah, valuing friendship.
Yeah. How much I care about you guys.
I don't care.
Very little.
Yeah.
But before we start that, as always, JD, what games have you been playing this week?
Fucking some dumbass shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, doing dailies, Tekken, a little bit of Wildlands. I played a lot of Wildlands, actually, on Sunday. That was the thing. Make sure there's no volume on that one.
Might be me. Anyway, keep going.
And then, outside of that, nothing. Rosie, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Recovery with my back.
Oh, that's a hard game.
Yes, it is a very hard
It's an
game.
indie game.
How do you win?
When it doesn't hurt to bend over anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Hurt my back.
Awesome.
Which you would think, like, hey, that gives you more time to play video games. No, I literally just stayed at home, like, literally just stretching, resting, and trying to just figure out, like, ways to, like, doing exercises, just trying to get my back straight. Which has been fun.
That's cool, man.
But I have been talking about with my buddy, we're going to be probably playing Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
If I can convince him to, I would like him to play Final Fantasy, but he doesn't want to pay for, any games, any MMOs, especially a game he doesn't.
He's a
really-
cheap ass. Okay, I got you.
Well,
Wow. Come on now.
He likes the PvP. He likes the small buttons or like less buttons in his MMOs. And Guild Wars 2, he's like 8-button game. I haven't played it in a while, so I can't remember if it is only like 8 buttons, right?
You smell that? Bullshit.
Or what?
It's bullshit.
Wow.
I extended my hands time and time again.
It's so much bullshit. It's actually getting expansion in September sometime.
No, play game with me. I've been meaning to play game. All right, play game with me.
We played Wildlands together
Yeah. When was the last time we played that?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and how long did we play that for?
5 hours.
Nope.
4 hours.
No.
We played that for
An hour and a half.
What?
Because you had to go. Did you forget your stuff was messing up?
Where'd you have to go?
Oh, bro. Ah, man. That's
It-
also one of the things I forgot to get. Is ask you to bring that mic over.
Oh, yeah, the headset.
Yeah, we'll get that next time. Bring it to work.
Okay.
But Spencer, my friend, acquaintance. Actually, I think I hate you. What have you been playing, man?
Damn.
Ever Oasis.
Ugh.
What?
Sounds awful.
League of Legends.
Ugh.
Any new big change in the league?
No.
I thought they were doing like some new heroes or some new
Yeah.
skins or some shit.
They're always doing new heroes and new skins.
All right. Well, what's about the new?
Unlike
heroes?
Overwatch.
Yeah, fuck Doomfist. He doesn't exist.
What, they do like 3 new heroes?
Yeah.
4 new heroes, maybe?
So you want to talk about the new hero in League of Legends?
It's got its own set of variables.
Sure, his name's Kane. He's weird. Pops out from the walls.
ADC jungle.
He's more of a jungle assassin type. He literally, his ability is to go through the walls. And then he can go into your body and jump out. It's
What?
Shaco does it better.
No, he does not.
Yeah, he does.
No, he does not.
I think I would know.
He does not.
I would know.
He does not.
I would know. What's his line? So,
Anyway. Yeah, he's pretty strong.
of course he is. Buy this character.
Buy him.
He's overpowered.
You'll be strong too.
Buy your skin.
Buy
too.
it.
It'll make people
Got some
respect you
nice
more.
little jungle costumes for him. You know, because he's a jungle type.
He's a jungle character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, in recent gaming news, we can move on to the news now, I assume.
I mean, as far as things of interest, I mean, there's a couple things happening in Overwatch. They're looking at switching around Roadhog again because they took away his one-shot kills from
Nerf
the
him.
hook. No, they're buffing him.
Buff him.
Yeah, because he got crazy nerfed and no one was playing him. So his the proposed change allows him to heal and move really fast while he's healing, and he takes a 50% damage, decreased damage while he's healing. So he can pretty much out heal anyone's damage.
That's good.
Interesting
That'll
concept.
put him back into the actual being a tank.
Well, he
I
back
mean,
into he was
you know what I
never.
mean.
Yeah, he just punished people for being out of position, which he can still do. He just needs someone else to back him up. That's all. That
And in some troubling news,
what?
BioWare Montreal
Yeah.
has closed down. EA has brought the hammer on them and moved them into a different studio. Can somebody else take over?
Okay, yeah, that's great to report about things before you're.
I want to get the actual
Another side thing that happened. Evo had reported Street Fighter V had 5 million,
Viewers.
almost 5 million viewers for the finals. It's a big deal, big step for esports in general, for fighting games anyway, because it shows that they can transcend. And become something that maybe the average casual gamer or enthusiast might be interested in.
That's so curious to me because like all the bad press Street Fighter V got, but yet it's still one of the most viewed games. Like people love watching that game. So.
Well, that'll lead into value, and we'll get there. But one of the other things that was interesting, I don't know if you know this, but for the finals at Evo, they actually forced a player to switch a costume or told him not to wear a costume. Yeah. People got super upset about it, but it's like, dude, look at how you're marketing. Look at who you're marketing to. Just change the costume.
Right.
Like, honestly, I would rather change a costume than be like, I'm going to stand for what's right, and then lose on potentially like 100,000 people watching because maybe that costume offends them. It's stupid, but it's also playing the fucking game. Yeah, it's playing the game.
What was wrong with the costume?
It was a little more risque.
Was it Cammy?
I think it was Cammy.
Or the wrestler girl?
Armika was last time. But I think it was Cammy because her super, the way it finishes, there's a huge shot of her butt. It's not entirely her butt, but it's just like side cheek.
Does it show any of her hole?
So they switched it. They asked that she switched it, or that who was it, Kazunoko, I think, to switch it, and he switched out. So,
are you proud of yourself with that one? I'm sorry. I just had to bring it down.
Anyway,
so they moved the BioWare Montreal into EA Motive, which is working on both Star Wars Battlefront 2 and an as yet unnamed Star Wars video game.
Too bad it's not 1313 or whatever that was. That one looked really good.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
Yeah. So, wait, I think I actually know what it is. It is something similar to that. It still is a Uncharted-centric Star Wars game.
I grew up in the city.
But it's a little bit different. Thanks, bro. Thanks for letting me know you grew up in the city. You bastard. So
Bastard.
You bastard. You daft bastard. So there's all that shit that's coming into play. I can't think of anything else that's really changing gaming-wise. Outside of small things, coaching is back in Evo. Coaching is the concept of if Spencer's playing, he's up on the platform playing, doing his thing. I can come up to him and I can go, hey.
Shouldn't you not need that though if you're at Evo?
That's the question a lot of people say because people have won tournaments from coaching.
Yeah.
And they go, well, it's fair because all I'm doing is just pointing out something that exists there. And that's true. If I'm playing a game, vice watching it, I see completely two different fights. That's very true. So if I'm playing, maybe I'm not always picking up that this guy keeps aiming for my ankles.
It's honestly like any game you play. Honestly, when you're so focused on like moving in like Metroid, I'm like, hey, did you see that thing there? Why didn't you grab that?
Yeah.
It's essentially
Never
the same
happened,
thing.
but it could have. I see your example.
Yeah.
So-
that's what I'm saying. Just bring it back in.
So that's like a concept of playing video games enough to the point where some of that stuff is so second nature, it allows your mind to focus on other things. So like, for instance, if you started playing a new character in League, you're focused on, what is it that they can do again? Okay, they can do these things. You're not playing them to their peak because you're so focused on doing the abilities properly. Yeah. And then when you play it enough, you're like, I know this situation. I know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. Yeah. You're focusing and thinking more critically on other things that you can do. So it's just, playing, it's the same concept, but tournament-wise, if you're playing in a tournament, a lot of that shit regresses. You go back to that, like, everyone is nervous. It doesn't matter how some of these people look when they're like playing fighters, when they're playing probably in League. Yeah, they're like, oh, he's emotionless. No, they're freaking stressed. Their heart's beating. It's fun. It's scary at the same time. All that shit's there, but it's the cooler, like it's the fact that the coaching thing pretty much brings you back down and goes like, all right, hey, watch his low. He goes into a low and then an overhead right after every time. So pay attention to that. Watch for this. Try this. And I get it, but I also don't think. I think it should be on your merit alone. Yeah. Because the coaching thing, up until Evo, can be fucking anybody. It can be someone just random that's really fucking good. And say, for instance, it's 2 even players, and you get like a really experienced player coaching you, and then you have a decent player coaching that guy. They've, in a sense, inflicted sort of their skill, in a sense of the word, onto that player. And then now they're going to perform, they can, in theory, perform better because of it. And it's like,
just like if you were teaching me about League of Legends, like you were over my back and telling me like, hey, you should use this skill right at this situation. As according to like maybe JD, who doesn't know League as much, telling me like, hey, you should do this right now. And then like that didn't work. Like, why didn't that work? And he's like, I thought it was a good move. It's just, you know, skill wise. It's between someone who's actually decent and someone.
It's the exact same thing I just said.
I know, just saying. Sorry, I
Anyway.
You can give an example.
Yeah, it's all just my bad.
Anyway. There's a lot of that like mentality in there. And some people actually don't like the concept of coaching. Some people think, oh, that's old school. Some people are like diehard old school fans, and they're like, oh, you should always be able to coach because there was less rules. And then now people are going, well, because everyone's trying to make money now, should we push towards that avenue?
I honestly think that you shouldn't have coaching.
I don't think you should either. I think it interferes with the experience.
I agree.
I don't even think it was because of that reason necessarily. Down, Ruby.
Dude, just do a better job of pushing her off.
That's how I'm doing.
Just doing this to push her. I don't know how you do that.
Oh, easily, because I'm not trying to hurt her. But I don't like it just because I feel like it should be just simply the skill. Right. It should be like mental as well. Like if someone's like, if you're beating a guy, like say, you know, you're playing and you're beating me so bad that you're actually literally, you know, the term in my head.
Yeah.
The player himself should be able to break that. Not like someone coaching like, hey, calm down. Like,
yeah.
You're doing this, he's doing this, and then like, okay, you're right. Let me get back into it.
Yeah.
You know, it should be my own merit, my own medal.
Yeah.
That can beat them.
If coaching were allowed at last Evo, Punk might have won. Because he was doing stuff that I was saying that a lot of people were also saying. He needed to slow down. He needed to catch his breath. He's a younger kid.
And then he wouldn't have cried.
He was apparently crying a lot, which he's barely 18. And going to a world championship, he still lives with his parents. He probably doesn't get that much exposure as far as, you know, getting out there. So, I mean.
Made it far.
Yeah, good for him. But, yeah, so that's that. Anyway.
Topics.
Let's.
You're proud of yourself for that, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a transition.
I'll just wink and.
Ace.
So the topic that we wanted to bring up was sort of the analysis, or just sort of our experiences looking into the concept of value. What you get out of a product. A lot of games nowadays, we're looking at a $60 price tag. Some games, $40. Some games might even be $20. I mean, look at Steam, fucking $3 for a fucking game.
Some games are just free.
Yeah, some games are free. And the whole concept behind the value in general is what do you get out of it for not only for that price, but just in general. I think a good example to sort of start with is a game that is free. League. League is a free game. Play the game. The progression is not affected by your...
Well, what if we started with how gaming started? So like, because that's going to be a whole topic. But, so when gaming first started, you buy a cartridge, you take it home, and that's the game. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. If you look at it from arcade standpoint, then yeah, it'd be coins. You just put a coin in a. That was Eric, everybody. Sweeping.
Coins are quarters.
Quarters.
I hate when people say,
Well, it could be coins.
it's not coins, damn. Well, I mean, yes, if you go to Castle and Coasters, there's probably a fucking name for them. Or Peter Piper
Tokens.
has, tokens, yeah. Peter Piper Pizza, but
Yeah,
my arcade days were spent with cold, hard cash.
that could be a whole topic in and of itself, though.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the reasons I'm not a huge arcade guy.
Wait, why?
Because I think those games are built for you to spend money.
I would say everything except for fighters. Well, fighters are if you're fighting by yourself, but if you're fighting someone else, it's almost like a gamble.
Right, fighters, it works. That's why fighters, it works for it.
Yeah.
And that's why those are intense, because it's like, I mean, people love the competition.
Yeah.
And you just like, yeah, put your money on it, and then there you go.
Pretty much.
Then there you have a game. Whereas, like, I've never been a super competitive person, so those games never really got to me. So that was always, when I would go to an arcade, it'd be like a Metal Slug or a shooter game.
Yeah.
And those games, it's like, you're supposed to die.
The joystick's probably already fucked when you
Yeah.
start playing it anyway.
Who put this peanut butter on his joystick?
They're like, oh my god, I pressed the button once, it shoots 8 times. You're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That's how I got AIDS.
Yeah. So.
I made the huge mistake of like when it doesn't take your coin right, you put it in, and then you're like, where is it? You put your finger in that hole and start wiggling it around. Like every time I do that, I'm like, oh god, what did I do?
Why?
Because it's probably filthy. Those arcade machines.
That's not the first thing I think. Filthy, filthy, filthy.
Yeah,
Someone stuck their dick in here.
someone stuck their penis in here, didn't they?
All right.
But yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's how money kind of started more on the console thing. What we were looking at, but you could look at it that way: is that they started with paying for each game that you play, like each round,
Yeah.
and paying for lives. How funny, paying for lives.
Yeah, that's
That might actually come back. That's actually kind of already back, in a way. But I'm mobile. But so you look at the arcade and it started out with that, and then so once you get the home consoles, you're paying for a cartridge. You pay X amount of dollars. So
you're paying for software.
yeah, I mean on the Super Nintendo it was already $60.
Yeah.
Sometimes 40, depending.
It
but-
wasn't really governed well.
Yeah, it
You're
was-
looking at $80 games sometimes. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like, really? This
Like,
shit
Earthbound
better
was
change
like
my life.
90, $100.
Yeah.
For the they required the strategy guide with the pack-in.
Jesus.
So Earthbound was insane. Like that's one of the reasons that game got destroyed out of the canon.
That's a shitty game, that's why.
No, no.
But
But that's how gaming started really with the price. And then it kind of became more regulated with the N64 and the PlayStation 1. Those kind of regulated down to, I think PS1 was 50
you're 50, yeah.
and N64 was 60 because the cartridge tax.
Were they really? Still 60?
Yeah,
I mean,
they were
I
60.
never had it in 64. I had cheaper shit. I got it.
Yeah. What's up, Corbask?
Yeah. So,
Go
but when it comes to looking at like past that, we're looking at PlayStation, and actually that's a good point. PlayStation and N64. Resident Evil 2 came out on both consoles,
Yeah.
but on PlayStation 1 it was cheaper. I think it came out sooner.
I think so.
It came out. It was sort of a launch title, or was it? No,
no, because Resident
it
Evil
wasn't.
came out on it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. But it came out sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was I thinking it was a launch title? It was when I got it. Was when I got that
when you
Final
got the
Fantasy VII. Yeah.
PS1.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you the story. Me, my dad, and my brother were all playing Final Fantasy, and my brother's playing, and he's like, I don't know how to move.
Right.
And they
yeah, I
were just like,
remember
fuck. And then Resident Evil. My brother and
Then
my
you
dad.
really didn't know how to move.
Fuck no. My brother and my dad would die in the first scene where the fire was at,
Yeah.
just because they're just like, what are we supposed to? How do I move this character? And then my brother and my dad are trying to kill every single zombie in that area. And it's like, I wish I could see myself when I was younger. You're not supposed to do that. So I mean, yeah, but for games like that, that's actually a really interesting way of looking at it, because it's the same amount of worth. People just didn't catch on. You know what I mean? Like you're looking. You said it was like a cartridge.
Yeah, there's a cartridge tax because cartridges are expensive to make.
So, yeah, it's a piece of plastic. I mean, both are pieces of plastic. You just have more plastic. And in my case, we just burn it onto a disc, and then you're good. In your case, you're like,
Meticulously
yeah.
drill and
Get it
all
in
that
there.
stuff. Do you also use the vibrate function on controller to massage your pipe work?
No,
No.
not lately. The Rumble Pack, glad you brought that up, was also another thing, too. Because
That started on the
64.
64 and then
first. Then we had
DualShock
DualShock.
absorbed it.
Yeah. DualShock, but also introduced pretty much sort of the standard for analog sticks for the most part. Anyway.
Yeah.
The dual analog sort of.
But anyway, getting back to it though. So
the dual analog
so
function.
the N64, $60. PS1 was 50.
Yeah.
And then the next generation, everything's 60.
Yeah, everything was 60, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, Xbox and GameCube, and you just had sort of a difference in, I wouldn't say the quality, but just what each console was better at doing.
Yeah.
Because Xbox was the strongest, but it was like,
it was a shooter.
It felt like it, right? Like it was just only good for shooters. It was a shitty controller. For sure.
The Duke.
Yeah, I fucking
But the
hated
S one
it.
wasn't bad.
The what?
The S controller is a smaller one, smaller than the Duke.
Oh, well, I never got that one. I always had bigger ones.
Controller.
I fucking hated
Well,
it.
I like the next generation's Xbox controller.
I always liked the PlayStation's controllers, and I actually liked the game. It took me a minute, but I learned to like the GameCube controller. It just couldn't be played with 2D fighters. Right. But all that stuff, I think the controllers were the same, weren't they? Same price, roughly?
Yeah, they're like $30.
Were they?
No.
Because now they're fucking 60.
I thought it was 40. But
Maybe.
Yeah, whatever.
I thought they were cheaper than that.
Yeah, I thought
but then the next, well, it should be noted that on the Xbox, something happened
Xbox
with a certain popular game.
What,
well,
Halo?
Xbox Live did happen.
Yeah,
but there was a certain popular game that had a certain thing that I don't know if this caused it, but it would forever be done later. This game called Halo 2. It's a little game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
No, it's indie.
But it had essentially not DLC, but you could buy additional content on it. There's an additional content pack.
What are you doing? Oh, we got to subscribe. That's why.
Somebody. Thank you for following.
Wow, way to go. Come on, man.
Thank you for following.
Thank you, sir, for following.
I just got scared.
Yeah.
But anyway, you could buy a content pack for Halo 2 that included extra maps.
Yep, content pack is what they call
Content
it.
pack.
Mm.
And everybody at the time loved it because Halo 2 was a good game.
Yeah.
Right.
Wasn't on PC, so it was like, hey, yeah, fuck it, do it. Yeah.
Interesting to note, because later on, that same practice, although it wouldn't be with the physical media, it'd be DLC,
Doke.
becomes a huge deal. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So the next generation, everything was $60 still.
Yeah.
But that's when they started pushing DLC, like maybe midway through, or a little bit after launch. Like it wasn't a big thing at first, but I think Oblivion had the first one.
Yeah, Oblivion had the first one with
the horse?
horses, horse armor.
Horse armor,
Dumbest shit I ever.
and everyone hated it,
Yeah.
even though the game was
It was expensive as fuck.
Yeah, it was $15.
Yeah.
And that's all it was.
The practice wasn't even proper yet.
So everybody, the gaming kind of agreed that's no good.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
People were accepting of expansions because the term expansion means to expanding on. It's not. We're not comfortable with the fact of content packs. That doesn't sound good. Like
which one of you looks like Sean Kingston? I don't know who that is.
Probably me.
Probably. I am not that dark, man. I'm
you got
sorry.
it, Corvask. Anyway,
but yeah, it's kind of interesting because you're looking at these games when they started to push like DLC. I think I remember Gears was pushing DLC a little bit.
the first one.
I think there was some form of DLC on it. I think it was just more maps though. I think
that's kind of where it starts with the shooters is more maps.
Yeah, and then like I think Call of Duty had it in it.
Yeah, I forgot what the first pack was. But yeah, Call of Duty started to jump in on that trend as well.
Call of Duty had it and all that stuff.
Started doing DLC.
And you kind of touched on it with the expansion pack thing because PC'd been doing it for
a minute. Yeah,
they've been doing expansion packs, but their expansion packs were usually like with most games were content.
A lot of
tons of content,
and it was a whole lot more expensive. Like I think the Diablo 2 expansion was like $30 or $40, something. The original game was $50.
But they were essentially extra games.
Yeah,
like using the same engine, using.
Well, I mean, you just get an additional act and two different characters, but hey, there's a couple other stuff too. But yeah.
Oh, that one was pretty small.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's pretty small because I love that game, but it just catered to me. But maybe to someone else, they might have been like, I feel like I got ripped off. There was also Hellfire before that in the first Diablo. Same concept. They introduced, I think, the monk in there and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And the barbarian, I think, was introduced.
Well, let me ask you guys a question then. What's the first DLC that you guys not necessarily bought or paid for, but that you saw and you thought that you were getting ripped off? Besides Oblivion, because I think everybody agrees.
That sounds pretty bad.
It was rough.
First DLC I bought and I got ripped off, or felt I got ripped off.
For me,
Or at least just saw. Like you're like, there's no way I'm getting that. That looks horrible. And like the first time you saw that.
I didn't really start getting DLC until very late into the game.
I'm gonna say I didn't get my first like I guess the one I thought just because it took so long and I beat the game already. BioShock Infinite.
Really?
Because all right, so I bought the DLC like right off the bat.
The Buried at Sea?
Yeah.
Burial at Sea.
Yeah, Burial at Sea.
You felt like you got ripped off?
I didn't even get the chance to play it because it took so long to come out.
Oh, you bought it before?
Yeah, so I bought I guess this may come into the future, but the season pass. In which I was like, oh god, I love BioShock 1. I love BioShock 2, and I was gonna play. I'm like, I'm so excited for BioShock Infinite. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get the season pass, but it took so long for the actual DLC to come out that I was just,
It did take a while.
So that I was done with the game. It was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I like completely forgot about it, and then all of a sudden DLC came out. I'm like, I don't really care anymore. Like I was already on the like other bigger games at that point. I was just like, well, this is a dang shame. I think I even sold that game because that's when I didn't have a job. That was when I was like in high school.
A job.
And then
wait, you were in high school when
no.
was that?
Sorry, no, I may have been in college and still didn't have money.
I was gonna say, I was like, when the first BioShock came out, I think I was getting ready to join the Marine Corps.
Damn.
I think it was like 2006 or something. 2007.
I was in high school in 2006.
Well, so was I. I was sworn in though in 2007. Yeah. But anyway, for me, I would have to. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but I think it was actually Festival of Blood, Infamous 2, Festival of Blood. The first one because the first one I beat, and I think there actually was some DLC on that one, but I don't think I ever played it. But for the second one, I downloaded the Festival of Blood, which has you playing as Cole, who's a vampire, and it was boring as shit. And I was just like, why the fuck do I care? All you do is it's a hypothetical situation, hypothetical circumstance. You're running around as Cole, who got bit by a vampire, and now you just suck people up as a vampire. And it catered to Cole being bad, I think. So, which I never played him as a bad guy. I beat Infamous 3. It's a good and a bad guy. I love that game, Second Son. But this one, I was just kind of like, really don't care. So, I mean, I think that was the first one I got ripped off, or I felt I got ripped off on. I mean, there was a couple other games here and there. I mean, some games that became the primary way that they made money was through DLC. And if we're going back into the whole value and worth thing, a good example is if you look at DOA Core Fighters, it releases Dead or Alive 5. You only get access to 2 different characters, and it switches as the months go on. And then you can choose to buy a character, and you'll permanently have them. I think it was like $2 or something like that, and you have that character. And then you can buy all their costumes. And they made a whole ton of money because they would always release swimsuit costumes, and who wants fucking swimsuit shit? And then they added a VR mode, and then people got into that shit too. It's all that stuff. So,
well, that's funny that you say that because my first experience with it. What's up?
I just finished plastering that wall and she licked it all off.
She licked.
Oh.
Don't barf.
So my first experience with that, with being really disappointed with DLC, and it wasn't me buying it, it was me looking at it and like, wow, this is terrible, would be those like free-to-play MMORPGs.
Oh,
it was back when I was playing World of Warcraft and I was kind of off and on with it. I wasn't super hardcore at the time. And I tried out some of those like area games ones.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Was Fly for Fun one of them?
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
And it was horrible. Like, the games were really shallow.
It keeps going, by the way. Someone else's video.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, the games were really, really shallow, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, you'd have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Pay for, like, experience packs and just, like, different costumes and different armor sets. And there's really no point in even playing the game if you weren't going to pay for it. And it became clear that those games were just meant for you to pay money. Whereas, I mean, technically all games are meant for you to pay to buy them.
It's a business.
But this business was, your success depended on how much money you're willing to spend on the game.
So pay to win.
Pay to win.
Yeah.
Which I think is a concept that generally everyone agrees is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except in one market, apparently.
What?
What mark?
We'll talk about that one.
Oh, gotcha.
He's on it right now.
Yeah. But yeah. Another one that was actually kind of interesting. I'm glad you mentioned pay to win. There was a couple of games that I remember playing or getting the DLC for where I felt like, oh, this is like, or they'd be like, this is a continuation of the story. So I gotta get the DLC. Good example of that was Dead Space 3. I got Dead Space 3. I beat it with Troy. It was an average game. It was not the best Dead Space by any stretch. But it was 2 players. Me and Troy played through it. We had fun playing through it because we are who we are. You know, we just like playing fucking games together. And I remember when they did the DLC for it, they're like, this is the continuation of the story of Isaac Clarke. And you're like, holy shit, I need to know what happens with Isaac Clarke. So then you start you do the DLC for it, and then you're just like, see, same exact shit. You're trying to leave this fucking place before it blows up. And then once you leave the place, it ends on another cliffhanger. Who fucking cares? Like, I was so like done after that. I was like, fuck this. Like, I wish this one didn't exist because it didn't even help with like the story or anything that was going on. It was dumb as fuck. And I don't know. Technically, another game did that too, which I really love, was Dragon Age. They did that in Inquisition. I think they did it in 2, and they definitely did it in Origins. They're like, oh, the conclusion to Morgan's story. And you're like, fuck, Morgan's a cool character. I want to know what happened. Depending on, you might have like romanced her if you were, depending on who you were and stuff like that. And there's like some additional lore shit that goes down over there. And you're like, oh, I want to care better. And you do it, and it's such a fucking shallow ass fucking ending.
So Dragon Age Origins had DLC for that.
It had a lot of DLC.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Particular to Morgan.
Yeah,
and
particularly
that's where,
Morgan.
And even when you beat that, it's like, oh, spoilers for that game's DLC. She has a kid. She takes the kid with her in this mirror, and it's like, that's it. That's the end of it. Yeah, and I'm just like,
that's the trailer that actually made me get Dragon Age, the White Shadows or the Ashes, Sacred Ashes trailer. But yeah, it's just you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay.
Didn't really do anything.
So why was that stuff bad?
So the thing is people look for a sense of closure, especially in her story. You wanted to know what happened, and all it did was create more questions. I get it that they want to make a franchise out of it, but that's not the place to do it. If I spend additional money, I'm doing it for the sense of closure, not for the sense of getting fucking jerked off again. It's like buying a whore.
Well, but then this begs the question, though. Was the game, if you had not bought the DLC, would you have gotten a complete game? Would you have felt that you got a complete game?
My theory is anytime a game has gone gold, it's complete. Even if there's like limited features on it, that's apparently what they were going for. And if they add DLC and all that stuff in there, then that is a bad thing, depending on the environment, right? Like if we're looking at League here, for instance, they dropped it. I don't even know how much heroes they had initially. But then they just kept adding more, and it sort of helps because it's competitive games. Competitive games, I think, get a pass. But if it's like a story game, and then they constantly add a little bit more, like that becomes an issue. Like I never bought Telltale. Well, the first, what's it called? Walking Dead. I only got the first 2 episodes, and then I waited for the rest before I bought the rest, because I don't think it definitely doesn't work well in that sense of being like, oh, I'll play a little bit. It's successful though. It's successful. But like for me, looking at it, I'm like, I don't like for it to just cut off.
You don't like the cliffhangers.
I don't like it to just like, okay, all right, we'll come back later. I mean, but there's so many variables when it comes to that. I know, giant spider. There's so many variables when it comes to that. She never transformed into a spider in my game. I made sure she never did. I was like, you're gonna forget that ability first of all.
It's not that good.
Yeah, it's not that good anyway. But when it comes to like Final Fantasy, right? They were talking about that one's going to be episodic. I think because I know about it, I don't care. right? Like I know what happens in Final Fantasy VII. Okay, fine, make it episodic. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But if it's a game I don't know about, it's a new IP or something like that, and I'm engrossed in the story, I want it all at once because I'm like, give me all the content, right? But if it's like Overwatch, where they're adding a new character that changes the landscape of how people fight, or League, I mean, even Street Fighter, that's okay. That's not the end of the world. I really don't care. It's another character, it's a new matchup, makes the game more interesting. But if it's that becomes an issue in itself, is how is it presented? Is there a way that you can get this content by spending money or by getting it in game? And I think that always needs to remain an option.
Yeah, because that's one thing you talk about is that getting a free pass because it's competitive, but then you have games. Recently, I'm gonna bring it back to the modern day Call of Duty in the future. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, where you have these new guns. They changed how you play the game, but you have to get them in care packages. Advanced Warfare being like one of the worst in this, that you literally you literally get the same gun, but it's way more powerful, or it has different stats. And that's just horrible because it relies on you paying like literally either doing it in game and having that chance and not getting it, which I played over 200 hours multiplayer on like Black Ops 3. I still don't have any of the new guns. There's like 12, but they're like you get care packages that you get like a chance of getting them that I've never gotten. So then, what does that mean? It's like that means I will never get to experience. I bought the season pass for that game, and I bought I downloaded the DLC, but I never actually got a chance to actually try out like the thing I actually care about, which are the guns.
So you paid all the money you could,
Essentially,
and you still didn't get what you wanted.
right? Because I care about way more about the guns. Because competitiveness is about you versus the player, and obviously. And no matter what, I don't really care much about. I do care about the maps a little bit, but the most important thing is what you're usually using to fight with. Your characters and like fighting games and your guns and shooters. So me not being able to get access to that really cuts down the value for me.
So it sounds like there's some games that need to be complete. That aren't PvP games specifically. It'd be like if it's a single player game
That has a narrative or something.
that has a narrative, it has to be complete.
Right.
Whereas if it's a PvP game, it's okay if it evolves. But with that instance,
I think that's more of a problem with balancing. I don't think that's a problem with the DLC.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, because I mean, if we're looking at it from that perspective, let's pull it back to Overwatch. Every time they drop a new character, which are available to everyone, but every time they drop a new character, they focus on balancing it because they want that character, and they talk about this a lot, is to feel fun. And certain aspects of the game and certain aspects of characters are fun to one person, maybe not fun to another. So getting flashbanged and getting killed may not be fun for you, but it's a small price to pay given you're getting close to a character that has that ability. Meanwhile, if we're looking, going back to the Roadhog thing, he's hooking you from half the screen away, and you're just like, what the fuck, man? And then he's killing you. There's a difference there. And with fighting games, it's all about making the character fun, but not too overpowered in a sense to where maybe it's not fun to the person that's fighting that character. I mean, there's always going to be matchups that you don't like in a fighter, but at the same time, so long as you can still come away and have a little bit of fun, because that's all I care about, that's what gets you back, then it's okay. In that sense, I think it's a balancing issue. I don't think they just didn't do a good job with the weapons.
So nowadays we get to the big value debate, which would be how much are games actually worth? So we have a lot of different styles now that we've talked about. We have free to play, which we should kind of navigate that, what that is. We have regular games that are $60, which all the major releases have essentially a season pass attached to it or some kind of DLC. And then we have mobile gaming, which we should definitely touch on. But one example that really hit home with me was the Fire Emblem Echoes game.
Okay.
And when that game was released, it was $40 with DLC that was more than $40 attached to it. So the total amount of DLC was like 56.
The Evolve problem, pretty much.
What's that?
The Evolve problem.
Evolve problem, yeah. Evolve had the same issue, and that got destroyed.
Yeah.
So each piece of DLC was $50.
No, it added up to
Okay.
over $50, I believe, something like that. Maybe 60 worth of content.
Okay.
And people were kind of in an uproar about it. They were in an uproar about Evolve. We could talk about Evolve, what they did wrong. They clearly did a lot wrong with that one.
There was a couple of missteps.
The game was very, very limited in what
Yeah.
they gave you, especially at first. I mean, you could get more later, but
How many monsters could you be? It was like 4?
like 3 or 4.
I think it
and then
was
you
like
could buy
3,
more.
and then you can buy more. But that presents a problem in itself. It's like
Right.
the buying concept to have more content in that regard. Again, it's competitive, right? So it should fit like Street Fighter or something like that. But Street Fighter or Overwatch in this case will introduce that new character, and there's more than one way to get them.
Right.
So it's okay. So maybe if you get like some legit like monster like fucking skills or something like that, they'll be like, hey, you can unlock this new monster, from just progression in the game. People don't feel as bad about a game that says you can pay to get it if you can earn it the hard way too, because then they feel like they're taking a shortcut and they go, it's more warranted.
Well, what about Fire Emblem? That series has never been
That kind of game.
right. It's never been questioned that game like earns its value
Mhm.
from like because it takes forever. The games are long. I think that one's 40 hours, but it could be longer. I'm sure if you delve.
Couldn't
into
you
it.
like have like relationships in that one and stuff? And
I don't know. I didn't think Echoes had that so much.
Oh, okay.
The last
the one
Awakening.
before it. Yeah.
Awakening, I know had it. Right?
Awakening had it, and the Fates ones had them.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about that, but apparently they're a big deal to some like anime fans. I think they like that stuff.
I don't think it's bad.
yeah.
I mean, chill, dude.
Stop
hating.
It's weird.
Stop hating.
It's weird.
Stop it.
It's weird. I don't like the
The
way they do, and you're stepping on rakes when you do that. You're
Rakes?
stepping on a lot of rakes.
You gonna get smacked?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did. Shovels, better example though.
Shovels, okay. Well, I'm thinking Simpsons.
What?
Sideshow Bob. Stepping on the rakes.
He's stepping.
Oh, he switches and then he steps on another one.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that's a whole different topic, but, if you're not going to let
Simpson sucks.
male characters mate with male characters, then in 2017, you're in trouble.
Whose fault is that?
But that game's never had a problem, but people were still very mad at it that its DLC was more expensive than the game.
I mean, it raises the question: what were you doing the rest of the time? What was your It's okay for.
But what if the game is long enough? Like, as expected, long as expected.
So it's 40 hours.
The game hadn't even come out yet.
Oh.
And people were angry about it. So without even playing the game, which is something that you harp on a lot,
Yeah,
they were judging it, saying,
you say it like it's a bad thing.
"No,
Not you, this motherfucker.
it's just something that I know you've discussed, and people were really raging about it. And it's like, well, just play the game, and if you don't think it was worth it, then you can complain."
Right. At the end of the day, vote with your dollar is very true. I mean, when people say, when DLC gets announced or pre-order for something gets announced before a game drops, and they go pre-order bonus. Good example, Mortal Kombat 10. Go pre-order bonus, get Goro, right? And people are like, I don't have to pre-order to get Goro. It's still $60. I mean, if you initially believe in the IP and you spend $60 because you're going to anyway if you want the game, but you spend it a little bit earlier, even a fucking day earlier, and you get Goro, then you get Goro.
So here's the problem with that, or not. Here's what people I think are on the uproar about it. Some people live and die by reviews of games because they're like, I don't want to pay for a game. I have this trusted site that I like to see the reviews. So they're like, I want to see what they say about it first before I pay for it, which could be possibly after the game's release. And then if you don't pre-order, you don't get this bonus that comes with it.
But the problem with that is you never know if you're gonna like it. That guy that reviews it is never gonna know if you are. Yes, they're never gonna know if you like it. And that's the important thing about that is you have to make the judgment yourself. Right. And fucking spoiler alert, no reviewing company, no person that reviews fighting games knows how to review them properly. No one. I'm gonna call us out here. Not even on this channel. Because you might prefer something. You might prefer a 2D fighter. We just did a Tekken review. You might prefer a 2D fighter over that, and you go, I don't think I'd like Tekken. But you never know until you play it. Okay? You watch the review and you go, that doesn't woo me enough to play it. Okay, fine, it doesn't. Who cares? Play the game, make your determination from there. But when it comes to the pre-order aspect of it, when at the end of the day you are paying $60, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna be a great game. And you're like, but I don't want to pre-order Goro. Well, then what the fuck? At that point, I get it if you're like, I don't want to get the combat packs. I didn't, because I'm like, I had fun with Mortal Kombat, but I'm not gonna play that game like past that and shit. I didn't even get the fucking. I don't have all the characters in Street Fighter. I don't have all the characters in.
Tekken?
Well, Tekken, they're all free right now. Yeah. Geese is on his way, but with Tekken,
Geese the goose.
The good and the bad, really, yin and yang, if we will. But the thing to look at that, which always just like blows my mind, is people go like, I'm gonna wait until the game comes out for the reviews, and then I can make an educated determination. Even if it gets 10s out of 10s, and you get it, and you go, it wasn't that good. What does that mean now? You know, like, where's your worth for it? Because obviously you didn't like the game as much as the reviewer did, who has a completely different background, has different interests, maybe didn't like it as much. I'll tell you right now, a lot of people were like, Final Fantasy 15 wasn't really all that good. I thought it was a great fucking game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I spent too much fucking time playing it, to be honest. And the music was always still fucking bomb as fuck. The gameplay was bomb as fuck. That's all I asked for. Right. But someone else might be like, I want this to change my life, my perspective on everything. And it's like, you don't get Metal Gear Solid 3 again. You don't get fucking Bioshock again. You're not going to get something that's going to happen like that all the time. You just have to accept it. Not every game is going to fucking blow your mind.
I know. Everyone was blown away by Final Fantasy 15. I actually personally didn't like it.
There you go.
There you go. Like, and despite everyone's like, this game's great. This game's great. All right, I'll give it a shot. Don't really like it. Sorry. And then just dropped it. But now I have my own I have my own opinion about it now.
Right.
Right.
Eric's like, hey, fuck you. but I mean, let's pull it back because we got like super off.
Right.
When it comes to like with the Fire Emblem thing, the DLC thing, you're right. Play it if you like it. If you think that you can go for more content for it, then sure. You're the only person that's going to make that decision, and it should only be you. And if you want more content in it, Dragon Age Origins, I think I spent $100, over $100 on it.
I paid for all the DLC.
But it's fucking worth it to me because outside of the fucking ending thing, because I was hooked. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to know what happens with my guy. And then when they did, was it Awakening or what was the? Yeah, it was Awakening, I think.
Yeah, that's
where it's like an expansion. It takes place a little bit after.
New skills, new level cap.
Yeah,
new champ. Like you're completely outside of the old world. You're part of this new expansion, and it's just like, holy shit!
There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, this is actually fucking sick.
Yeah, and it's okay because like we enjoyed the game, so we're gonna cool in that sense.
Well, I have a question.
It's expansion though.
Do you think that people's brains are still stuck in like a different time?
What do you mean?
Of buying a game for $60? Because I think we can agree that that's pretty much done, right?
What? How so?
Like where a game is $60 and
that's it.
That's it.
Like, that's it.
I mean, some games still do it. Feels weird for some games, but yeah, some games still do it.
Yeah, some games.
It is. I get what you're saying because sometimes you do go. There is that game that maybe you really enjoy it and you go, well, is there any DLC? And there isn't. And you're like, oh, well, fuck. You know. So I get it. It's a double-edged sword, definitely. But yeah, most games that come out, they will usually have some sort of DLC marketed to it, and then obviously the general public will look at it and they'll go, well, that's dumb. You're already planning to add all this additional stuff. Well, as far as development cycles go, teams do split up. Once they have a base game down, it's a lot of QA, and then another team can work. Another aspect of the team can work more on additional content post, which happens all the time. People do try and support the game post-launch, and that's why you see all these like map packs and coming out and stuff like that, because it's not like the game they built it and made it in a year. This is like 3 or 4 years. But once they've got a majority of the hard work done, and it's more about, you know, fine-tuning it, and they drop hey, there's some more DLC coming out, and people get a little bit concerned about it, you know?
Hey, Spencer,
Yeah.
you ever heard of the phrase agile in business?
I have.
Not in business.
I know.
Like keeping up with the times.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's like a side of like project management where essentially, it was the best way to describe it is two different What?
Describe what they can hear.
Agile. I said it.
Oh, agile. The best way to describe it is, well, it was described to me anyway, and how I understood it was it's different methods of transportation. You have a plane that's taken off. It's going to a location, right? It costs a lot of money. It's it's selectively going from this area to this area, and the next time that situation happens will be, I don't know, tomorrow or the following day or something like that. So it's a lot of money in between that. Then you have a train which is going from A to B. That train is going to run all day. So if you miss that train, you just get it the next 15 minutes later. So that's the concept behind agile like software development is pretty much you're creating content consistently, and if it doesn't meet that deadline, it goes on to the next train and catches that deadline then, in a sense. That's probably a little bit more blown out, but thank you. Thanks, Daddy. But that's a side note. That's actually what I'm getting what's called certification, Scrum Master and Agile or Scaled Agilist. So
that's cool. So Rosie, I have a question for you.
Okay.
The gaming market appears to have a great divide inside of it. You have a console gaming and PC gaming, whatever. But then on the other side of it is mobile gaming, which clearly represents the complete opposite spectrum of the $60 game.
Yeah.
What's your take on all that?
So the mobile marketing is pretty much free. It's all usually free to play, and what they do to actually have you spend money is usually limiters. In which, at that point, I feel like you should be allowed to pay for an entire game on the mobile market, but that's not how you really market games on the mobile market side. But like console games themselves, you spend $60, you expect to spend more because of DLC, and it's hit or miss on that side because you can spend $60 and be done with it, and you get a full product. But on the mobile market, you don't.
So it's free usually.
Yeah,
free-ish.
Free-ish.
Yeah.
What's a good really?
Yeah, give some examples.
It's been really bad. What was that? Gosh dang it! It was a game that was on like the PS4 or PS. It was like a castle game. Castle Siege. It was on the mobile market. It was like a dungeon, like. No,
it's not that.
But it was okay. But there was a game like big games like we'll do Candy Crush for example instead.
Okay.
In which you it's a free to play game. You
go
on the mobile market, big game. What all it asks is that you like get other people into the game initially, but then you can actually spend money in that game.
I think I know what you're talking about. It was like a sexual game, and they'd be like, "Here's your place, my lord," or whatever. That was the ads. It was like some girl in a bra or some shit like that.
And you clicked on it, right, Rosie?
No, I don't get hooked on games like that. But you were, weren't you? I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Clicked on it.
Anyway.
Like, cause right now, what are the biggest games out on mobile right now?
I don't.
What's that Kingdom one where you?
Kingdom Crashers.
No.
Boom Beach. I know is a big one.
Boom Beach.
Yeah.
What's Boom Beach?
I have no fucking clue.
It's another one of those games in which you can just.
The big ones are those like city creators, like where you build like a little army and you build like a thing and it takes X amount of time, and you can buy gems that make it. Clash of Clans. My brother's like super into that.
Clash of Clans. That's it.
Or that Final Fantasy 15 game that ruined the soundtrack.
Oh,
you see it on every fucking ad now.
Yeah,
on
I've
YouTube.
seen that everywhere.
It drives me up the fucking wall because I used to listen to that music, and now I can't stop listening to it and thinking of the mobile game. I know that's their point, but they worked really hard on the soundtrack and they fucked themselves on it. So whatever.
But what are some good examples of mobile gaming and some bad? I would say
honestly, I would say Pokemon Go
is what?
It's kind of good. Well, at some point it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
In which,
but why did it go to bad? Like, what makes it cross that threshold?
I think content for any game is important. Yeah. When it comes to the only examples I can really use, I mean, in this case, I watch Troy play it all the time. Is Brave Exvius.
Right.
Right. and he streams it a lot, and he talks about it to people, and they talk about pulls and like getting that rare drop, and like loot is very big in that. But loot are different avatars sometimes. So loot might be getting a fucking character from Final Fantasy that's important for your composition or something, right? And a lot of, and then it's like leveling them up and all that stuff.
Does he pay a lot of money in it, or?
So they have this thing where they do pulls. So anytime there's an event, so it's the equivalent of me paying money for loot boxes for Overwatch when an event is up. So he'll put money in for those events to get a good pull. And the thing is it's fucking popular as fuck. People love watching to see what your odds are. They like live vicariously through you in that regard. They watch you gamble is essentially what it is.
But do they gamble themselves? Well,
I mean,
like
they
it's
might
pretty
do it
popular
themselves
game.
too, but it's like a real spectator sport in that regard where they're like, I want to see what he got, Like he actually broke it down. There's a guy that's really popular that does Brave XVS. He normally has like around like 100 people watching, but when he does polls and he advertises it, he has 10 times that amount.
That's actually interesting you bring that up. It's like the people who play CS:GO,
Yeah.
and they actually spend money and actually get like packs, like the boxes.
Yeah, because people want to
Let's
see
see.
what it is.
You're like, what did you get?
That's why there's videos of people that go, I open 101 loot crate boxes or loot boxes for Overwatch every time there's an event. It's the exact same concept, and I don't know the psychology behind it. Like I watch Troy just about every time that he streams. I try to anyway, but but when I watch, I've never watched when he's done one of those like poll things. Well, and he probably has a ton of people, huh?
Yeah, there was more than I was.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's content, right? People like seeing that shit. That's an element of more content coming out. People like to see new things every now and again.
I think I actually understand.
It's like a review, so you can see if it's worth it.
Right. If I pulled this on my third poll and it's like some, I don't know the ranks, but like AAA version of Cecil, or if this guy did it, then I might be able to too. Or I want that
exactly.
because he did it. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna bring up. It's like if I play this game a lot and I'm doing the same thing, getting these pulls and opening the crates and boxes, whatever you get, and I want to see what other people get. And if I'm like, hey, do you play it? No. Do you play it? No. I'm gonna watch this guy do it. I'm like, all right, see, so this guy plays the game too, so let's see what he gets. And I will sit there and watch, and I'm like, wow, you really got that? I've like been trying my entire I've been playing this game for so long.
Yeah. Creates a topic of discussion, allows you to connect with an audience.
Right.
I mean, that's Troy's essential formula at the end of the day about it. But that aspect of mobile gaming, people really fucking love is that shit. Not the bit basic monotony of it. It's the stuff when things change because they keep feeding you A, and then once you get B, it's completely different. It switches up the game, or the potential to get B is so engrossing that people get involved and they want to chat about it, or they want to watch you do it, or whatever the case is. So I think content is the most important thing about mobiles.
So what do you guys think is the future? Like going forward, do you think it's buying content up front, like paying for it ahead of time, or buying content as you go?
I think it's dependent on the genre. If it's competitive, content as you go is great. If it's something that's meant to be like a Last of Us kind of thing, because DLC ruined the multiplayer of Last of Us, for instance. But if we're talking about the single player aspect of it, DLC helped it. Because getting to know more about Ellie's side is important. Something that doesn't even get talked about too much, and then they dropped it. You're interested, you want to know more about, and the thing about it is it's not a continuation, it's a side story. It's something that you don't necessarily need, but it does help. It does allow, and it's like seeing the same characters again. It feels good if the game has left a good impact on you, It's nice to revisit that. But like if you look at it from the sense of multiplayer, the DLC fucking ruined that game.
Yep.
One of my favorite multiplayer like games, period, ruined because now they included the semi-automatic as a normal weapon. So there's no skill shots. There's no margin for error. You can just shoot. Oh, I missed. Let me just drag it more towards this guy.
Actually happened with Guild Wars 2. One of
The game you're trying to play, huh?
Yeah, but I have money, so I can spend the money on the expansion pack.
Yeah, whatever.
But Guild Wars 2, one of Mysterious Stranger was me and him were talking about that game, and he was talking about how before when he played just the original content of the game, it worked really well. It was really good. The PvP was amazing. But then once the expansion came out, he didn't have the money for the expansion.
Right.
And then he had like extended classes to these, to your original classes. And it really apparently ruined, if you didn't have it, the PvP. Or if you didn't have it, the PvP in that game. Because then you had like these kind of advanced classes. And it's almost like if Final Fantasy had, you could play against level 80s, 90s. Or whatever the heck the top level is, like the samurai, when they're still on like the warrior. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, whatever the lower advanced class. I guess I should have brought it down to like World War.
I mean, there's just jobs and classes.
Right.
So a job would be a warrior. A class is a marauder.
Oh, okay.
So,
but it's just something like just playing like a lower job level essentially, and actually not having it balanced to where you can actually fight.
And yeah. I got you.
Toe to toe.
Huh.
So really,
the Wrath of Lich game when Death Knights first came out, and they went straight to PvP at level 55, fighting against warriors and everything else that are level 55. The Death Knight had like raid quality gear and just decimated everyone.
Eric was talking about when the Wrath of Lich King came out. It really unbalanced the PvP for just the 50 to 60 level PvP because they ended up having really high level gear for their level.
Right.
And it messed
Happens.
things up. It happens, man.
That's
so we
the
can
Wrath
say,
of the Lich King.
as far as value goes, it just depends on you, obviously.
It's in the beholder, yeah.
But there is no right or wrong theory.
Right.
There's a right or wrong execution. Right?
Right. I'll say that.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I actually got called a Capcom shill a couple days ago because it's by the same person that made a joke about it initially. So DBZ Fighters is coming out, right? DBZ Fighters, a lot of people looking forward to it. It looks great, right? Arc System Works, great company for making fighting games. Bam, right? The whole 9 yards. I'm still going to get Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. And I got called a Capcom shill because, why are you getting that game? That game looks bad. And I was like, well, looks is the operative word. I'm like, because my opinion on the game is going to be different from yours. I haven't played the game yet, so who's the fucking idiot? I was pissed at this guy, so I was like, who's the fucking idiot at this point? If you're looking at a game and judging its performance, you're looking at a game and judging the interactivity, which is the main reason why you play games, based on how it looks. I didn't even do that for King of Fighters. I tried playing it and I just didn't get into it. It's a different story. So it's some people like to sort of impose that and be like, you're doing gaming wrong type thing, but there's a couple of things that you shouldn't do for sure. Like you shouldn't judge a game before it's come out. In my opinion, you shouldn't. You should play the game first and really get an understanding of it. I don't like League just by how I look at it, but it doesn't mean that if I played it, I wouldn't have fun. I probably would. I'd be tearing up with Shaco. It's the only character I'd play. But with same thing with like World of Warcraft. I tried to play, or I never actually. No, I did play World of Warcraft for a little bit. I think I played with you and Leo. Yep. No, I played with Leo then. Played with Leo and was it you?
Probably
someone.
not.
It may have been me.
It might have been you.
Yeah.
I think I was doing like a warlock or something like that. And I was like, I'm
It
gonna
was
use
me.
magic. Yeah. It didn't last for too long, but I had more of a. Even though I was fucking going through levels every 5 seconds. It was.
Were they doing the thing where they power level you?
No.
No, they weren't power leveling me. It's just much easier to level. It's fucking ridiculous, man. And I'm just like, okay, cool, fuck it. I got more of an understanding of why people like the game. It's not my slice of cake,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily mean it's because I don't agree with it. It's a bad game, or that Eric, or in your case, are shills because you played the game at some point or something like that. Or it's the fucking dumbest thing I ever heard. I'm sorry, I'm pissed off about that. It just reignited anger in me. That guy's a fucking. See you next Thursday.
I'm gonna say, I think me and you both at least stand on that point. Like, we gotta try. I will definitely try something before I'm like, this game is just bad. So like League of Legends, I suck at that game. We talked about this before, which, but I now have a better understanding about it because I played it, and now I'm like, I realize why I don't like this game, instead of actually just being like, I think I know. It's better to say I know why I don't like this game rather than being saying I think I know why I won't like this game.
Yeah.
So the same thing you said, just
Right.
All right. Anyway, I'm Spencer.
I'm Rosie.
JD. JD!
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
What does value mean for you?
What does it mean?
Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.
Yes, he will, not us.
Not them.
Yes.
Bye.
Are you guys streaming tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Streaming tomorrow, Ghost Recon?
Ghost Recon probably might be a little bit earlier. We might still just do 12. And then
You
go
want to
from
do
there.
earlier?
Huh?
You want to do earlier?
Why? I said it might, and then you're like, you want it?
Okay, so drama's about to ensue, so I'm just gonna stop the stream.